He waited for me to yawn before he started recording.
Well,
he did. I had it like chambered, and I watched you hover, and then you heard me do it, and then you hit start. Welcome back to...
No Russian.
Yeah, no Russian power hour. Talking about some 2009 classics today.
Oh, okay, Jesus. We are on the last two.
Are we? Okay. Sure.
Yeah, we did see the fight. We saw the fight.
Yeah,
I was confusing us reading the fight with me rewatching the fight on YouTube. I couldn't remember if we read it or not.
That was my first time losing consciousness. You often hear regaining consciousness on the top of a bed, but this was my first time actually experiencing it. I have no idea who that is.
Oishi? His wife? Sorry, Iggy popped up.
I'm just gonna go Irie. Oh, it's a young. I think
young doctor.
Hello. Are you okay?
Realizing that I was awake, a young doctor called out to me. I didn't intend to respond, but it seems my body language had told him I was conscious. My head was wrapped up in bandages. The scratches all over my body had also been treated. My sense of pain also returned with my consciousness, causing me to groan from the intense pain shooting all through me.
Remember, he got shot.
Oh, it is Irie. Yeah,
he got shot in the shoulder.
Don't try to get up. Just stay lying down, please. It seems that you took quite a few blows to the head. I want you to stay rested, so we can monitor your condition for at least the next 24 hours.
I like how Irie mentions the blows to the head, not the bullet wound in his shoulder.
Well, I mean, what's more concerning? The bullet wound?
Okay, yeah, the consciousness.
Or the fucking multiple rock blows to your fucking head.
The blunt force trauma concussion that Akasaka has been admitted to the hospital with.
Where is this?
This is my clinic. Pleased to meet you. My name is Irie.
Man, you'll be alright. I remembered that this young doctor was the one in the car headed the opposite way earlier. Is there somebody here? Where's Oishi-san?
Oh, I'll call him over. There's no smoking inside the clinic, so I had him smoke outside.
Based.
Dr. Irie left the room to go call Oishi. The scenery outside the window was tinted with gold. The pouring rain had stopped, with the voices of the Higurashi heralding the cooling temperatures.
Do you think Oishi got some porno mags for him this time too?
You think that's Oishi's go-to get well thing? Is it, with every single person that ends up in the hospital, he brings them like a tin of cookies and he opens it and it's just raunchy porn. Honestly, I think that was one of the best reveals in Watanagashi. Like, I don't think anything else mattered in that game except for the Oishi bringing porn to Keiichi reveal. How is he gonna hide it in there? How does he hide that from the nurses?
They don't have to know.
True. You know, he's right. They don't have to know.
I felt that the tone of the Higurashi's voices was comforting. Eventually, I could hear heavy footsteps coming closer, which I reckoned to be Oishi's. The fog that was enveloping my head slowly faded back to reality. What had happened since then? What had happened to the boy? What about the reinforcements from Tokyo? The door to the room flew open, allowing Dr. Irie and Oishi to enter.
So there's no serious damage, is there? I can't promise that. I assessed the wound in his head and was dangerous the moment I saw it. Got it. I want to have a little chat alone with him for a little bit. Would you mind? Go ahead. Call me if anything happens.
Oishi would be ex-Yakuza, I think. Just looking at him, dude definitely has a huge, like, dragon tattoo on his back, you know?
Oh man, I bet.
Do you think Oishi would have a dragon, a koi fish, or an oni?
Well, Mion has the Oni, doesn't she?
That's true!
What do you think? You think he's the dragon of
The Dragon of Hinamizawa.
Dragon of, fuck. Okinomiya.
I would like to hope he does have something goofy like a koi fish, you know?
Yeah.
He's the koi in the Great Pond.
No,
of
he's got a
Okinomiya.
big serpent on the back of his...
Ooh, that's good. I think he would rock a back Yakuza tattoo. On God.
Oishi, after basically forcing Dr. Eri outside, shut the door.
How are you feeling?
I did something I'm not used to, so I'm pretty banged up all over.
No.
Oishi brought over a folding chair that was leaning against the wall and sat down beside the bed. Were the perpetrators arrested?
Unfortunately, no. They've probably already fled the prefecture, or are being hidden by the villagers. Well, we won't let them get away, no foo-foo.
What about the minister's grandson?
They're taking care of him at that station. But your colleagues from Tokyo are rather insistent that nothing be recorded. Shige-chan doesn't like that too much, no.
The kidnapping was a confidential matter, so his custody was also probably being kept under wraps. How the kidnapping of the minister's grandson would be handled, would be covered up, treated like it never happened, would be handled by the brass. If this case ended without the nation going into an uproar about it, then our job had been done. The possibility that the minister had negotiated with the perpetrators couldn't be ruled out. But something like that was no longer my concern. My role in this case was over. Sorry for the trouble. You must think that public safety is rather unseemly place, don't you?
No. We all work on the government's dime.
Oishi laughed boisterously. When we first met, I was somewhat prejudiced. I was somewhat prejudiced against Oishi, but now that that feeling was gone completely. Is that Oishi?
It's Oishi.
Oh yeah.
My balls. It would be more convenient for us if the case was handled properly instead of being hidden away. If that happened, we would be able to have something to go with the Sonozaki family with, since they will all go behind it all. Well, if we just start poking around, we'll get all sorts of pressure to put on us, though. What a mess.
I love Oishi. Are you gonna continue the fight against the Sonozaki family after this?
Nah, there's all sorts of dark rumors swirling around them, but it's not like I have a personal grudge. It'd be wise not to step on any toes here.
Narrator's note. He did, in fact, continue his fight against the Sonozaki family.
That's especially with how we learned that he's friends with the damn construction foreman. It's like,
Yeah, because he got a reason.
he's got it.
He has a personal reason. They killed his buddy.
The difference between this and fucking like Onikakushi or like any of the actual arcs is like you can is massive.
It's nice because honestly, this was the best thing he could have done with this chapter. Is because this is Oishi's chapter.
Yeah.
I don't care what anyone says.
He's a side character. We're just here to see everything for Oishi, how Oishi was doing.
Akasaka's side character in this chapter. Sonozaki's side character in this chapter. Rika's side character in this chapter. This is Oishi's chapter. This is about Oishi. And it gives you the Oishi lore, and it gives you the why Oishi is so fucking determined, even if it kills Keiichi, to go after the Sonozakis.
Exactly.
Because now he has a personal grudge.
Fucking Ryukishi's like literally pointing it out. Hey,
Yeah.
he has a
Hey,
personal grudge. That's why he acts that way, by the way.
Oishi laughed happily, and I couldn't help but laugh along.
Oh, that's right. There was word at the station from the prefectural police. Your colleagues arrived at Nagoya and are driving up here right now. You got your battle scars, so you're being recalled to Tokyo, apparently. That's how it's shaking up. Good job. Your fucking Okinomiya is safely over.
Can you imagine him getting back to his Bruce Willis life and he has like a shit ton of scratches and scars and a bullet hole in him now and he's just like, how's the baby?
I was being recalled to Tokyo. I inadvertently breathed a sigh of relief when I heard those words. I'm deeply thankful for your cooperation, Oishi-san. It seems the collaboration fee I paid you didn't go to waste.
No, I kinda meant that as a joke, so.
Oishi took out his wallet and casually pulled out several large bills and jammed them into the breast pocket of my shirt.
This isn't a refund on the collaboration fee. You hear? This is just me gifting you a little spending money. The booze around here is pretty good. Use this to buy yourself a little souvenir.
Oishi's such a good dude. I love Oishi.
Oishi flashed me a grin.
If your injuries turn out not to be too serious, call me before you head back to Tokyo, will you? The old man and Sato-san said they'd like to sit at the table with you again.
Oh my. Can't refuse that.
Then no tricks this time, just some plain old fun.
Yeah, they always say that. This world is done for if an active officer can cheat that blatantly.
It's not often that we meet someone who's more than a match for us. It's too bad you're going back to Tokyo.
When I heard those words, going back to Tokyo from Oishi, I was reminded once again that I was relieved from my duties. Soon, Yukie will be given birth. It might still be possible to attend the delivery that I had at one time given up on. When I thought that, the pain from my injuries became trivial. I wanted to hurry back to Tokyo and see Yukie at once.
Can you pretend that your injuries are a bit more serious and hang around Okinomiya for a bit? I can introduce you to a few nice places. Of course, I won't make you pay for everything. No.
I'm terribly sorry, but I'll have to take a rain check on that. My wife is due to give birth any day now. I want to hurry back home.
Oh my, I didn't know that. Then you wouldn't be hanging around here. You'd have to hurry back home.
Based Oishi. Oishi, who goes from, hey, you want to hang around and go to some strip clubs with us too? Oh shit, your wife's giving birth? Get the fuck out of here. What a great character.
I love Oishi.
What a good fucking
only gets
boy,
better.
dude.
He only
What an
gets better.
absolute good boy.
For a while after that, Oishi asked all sort of questions about my wife, teasing and bantering with me.
You think he likes Oishi because it reminds him of Yukie?
Well then, how do you feel? Think you can get up?
Yeah, it's not so bad, thanks to you. I can get up and walk no problem. I stood up and shuffled around for a bit, which seemed to amuse Oishi.
No, I just thought that you might not feel comfortable at the hospital in Hinamizawa. Dr. Irie said that he wanted you to stay overnight, but we still haven't caught the perpetrators. For the time being, this is enemy territory for you, after all.
And then the music goes,
For no reason.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Are you saying this hospital isn't safe?
No. Well, Dr. Irie is somebody who's well regarded in the community. I don't think anything will happen while you're here, but I'm more worried about your mental health.
I had to relax a bit.
Thanks,
Hey,
manga gamer.
I had to relax a bit. Hey, Mario is back in this chapter.
Oh boy.
I had relaxed a bit now that things had progressed this far, but it was exactly as Oishi had said. When I realized that this was enemy territory, I suddenly felt uncomfortable. With the only thing left for me to do was leave, the chance that I would come to harm was logically fairly low. But that didn't mean I was completely safe. Yeah, that's right. If I'm just gonna be lying down, then doing it in a hotel bed wouldn't be all that different.
Right, I also think that's for the best.
At that moment, I caught a glimpse of the clock over Oishi's shoulder. It was the evening. The hours when I could call Yukie at the hospital were almost over. I wanted to tell her as quickly as possible that I would soon be back at her side. I want to call Yukie at the hospital. Is there a public phone in the lobby?
No, you newlyweds are like this. If I recall correctly, there's one by the register. I'll be waiting here, so go ahead, go ahead.
Oishi laughing while saying that he was... Brain? Oishi laughing while saying that he was jealous, opened up the window and pulled out a cigarette, even though he was still in the hospital room. Appreciative at how considerate Oishi was, I set out to the lobby to find the phone.
Fucking idiot just sees Akasaka walk out. You know, like, as he's moving, he's like swinging his arms and blood starts coming out of the wound again on his shoulder, and he just holds the phone up and he's like, "Oh, Yukie!"
The lobby was just a short distance down the hallway from the hospital room. I thought that this hospital was a bit too grand for a village like this, but of course, it was nothing compared to the general hospital Yukie was admitted to. Running inside a hospital wasn't the best of manners, but calling hours would soon end, so I dashed over in a hurry. There was nobody else in the lobby. It may have been the evening, but there was nobody at the reception desk. Well, this might actually be lucky for me. I wasn't planning to have a conversation to feel guilty about, but it would still be embarrassing to have someone listen to the conversation between me and Yukie. Taking a quick look around, I soon found the payphone. Digging around in my pockets, I grabbed a few coins. I was calling Tokyo from here, so I would burn through this amount fairly quickly. I picked up the receiver and inserted a coin, then dialed the number for Yukie's hospital, which I had completely memorized at this point.
Based.
The number for Yukie's hospital had a lot of 8s and 9s, so dialing it inevitably took some time. Normally it wouldn't be a big deal, but currently any time was precious. However, I felt that something was strange as I was dialing that number. I don't know how exactly to put it, but it was as if the receiver was too quiet. That unique white noise from the telephone line wasn't there. Somehow, I felt that I wasn't getting any feedback from the phone, and without feeling a response, I hung up the receiver to try again. A coin popped out from the return slot.
Is it like a bomb?
It's a car bomb, but it's a phone bomb inside the clinic. I don't think we.
Could you imagine in the clinic, EDA is like, to pick up your prescription, please go dial 8998. And you walk over and you're like, oh, okay, cool. Let me call the pharmacy. And you dial 8998 and it explodes in your face.
Inside the fucking.
Yeah, in the clinic.
In the lobby of the clinic.
Yeah.
Did KG see any burn marks or anything in the past in the past few chapters whenever he was at the clinic? Because I don't think I.
It's actually one of the suicide booths from Futurama.
Oh my.
I reinserted the coin and began dialing once again, but the receiver was still dead silent. And what is this? Is it disconnected? While I was wasting time like this, the amount I had to While I was wasting time like this, the amount I had to spend talking to Yukie shrunk. I began to feel needlessly impatient. Did they cut the phone line? Excuse me. I felt the presence of someone on the other side of the glass, so I called out. There was an immediate response, and a man who seemed like a pharmacist came over.
Yes. How can I help you?
Pardon me. This phone seems to be acting a little strange. Could you take a look at it? The man came over and tried testing various things with the receiver pressed to his ear. Come to think of it, this was someone who worked at the hospital, not someone from the phone company. Just as I didn't know much about phones, neither would he.
Huh? What's this?
The man held up the cord that connected the phone to the wall.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, dude.
Why?
It's time for Akasaka to leave. It's time for Akasaka to find Oishi and leave. He walks back in the room and Oishi has a gun pointed at him.
He was being paid by the Sonozakis the whole time.
And Oishi's like, Akasaka, it's just what is it? 9K carat run of bad luck.
Truth is, the game was
From the start.
It was completely severed.
What the heck is that? Oh, well, this is a dilly of a pickle. Can't do anything with this until somebody coming from the phone company comes and fixes it. If you're looking for a phone, do you want to use the one in the office?
Monka. I didn't want the people in the hospital office around while I was talking. Is there any other payphone close by?
Let's see. If you leave here and follow the road, you'll come out into the shopping district. I think there's a smoke shop on the corner around there. If you head that way, you should be able to find one soon enough.
I was dressed in a hospital gown. I was wearing sandals on my feet. My head was wrapped in bandages. Just looking at me, you could tell I was a hospital patient. No matter how much you looked at it, I was not dressed to be wandering outside, but... Oh, god damn it, Akasaka.
Impetuousness.
Thank you. But that's where the impetuousness of youth came in. Choosing the chance to talk to Yukie for even a little longer, I headed outside in my current state.
Oishi's just like, where the fuck is this guy going? Then as he's smoking, he sees him through the window and just sees the most obvious man ever walk past the window, and Oishi's just like, you motherfucker. And just puts the cigarette out and goes and gets in his car.
Follow the road to the shopping district, and should be able to find one soon enough. With only those two lines as my guide, I ran outside the gates of the hospital.
He's running. Akasaka, you fucking moron.
With the village nestled in a valley, when the sun set, it got dark quickly. The sparse streetlights lit up enough to start attracting moths. The Higurashi, knowing the time for their chorus, was soon at a close, redoubled their fragile cries. Finding the payphone wasn't as easy as the person at the hospital had suggested. Was it still up ahead? Did I miss it already? Was I just getting farther away? Just as I was about to be crushed by the wave of uncertainty towering over me, I found a shop on the corner with cigarettes written on a small sign. My joy spurred me onwards. Just as I had heard at the hospital, set next to the counter at the cigarette shop was an antiquated payphone. I wasn't wearing a watch, so I didn't know what time it was. I probably didn't have much time left, though. But it was enough. Just as long as I could tell Yukie my job was done, and I would be coming home soon.
If I didn't already know Akasaka lives because of the start of the chapter, I would be like, I can't believe Akasaka dies here.
It's crazy. Can't believe he gets kidnapped here.
Again?
Picking up the receiver, I slid a coin down the slot.
Is every payphone cut in Hinamizawa?
They just don't like paying the man for the payphone.
But I felt that something was strange, just like at the hospital. Even after inserting the coin, the payphone showed no response. I hung up the receiver and tried putting the coin in one more time, but there was absolutely no response. This phone was dead. It couldn't be. Thinking that, I felt along the cord protrude from the back of the phone.
Is this the new meme? There's one working payphone in the entire city of Hinamizawa.
And it's the one Keiichi dies in.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the one everybody dies in.
Is every other fucking payphone cut? Like,
Doing that, my hands found the end of a completely severed line. What is this? Having now had the same thing happen twice, my bafflement was accompanied by a sense of unease. It seemed that the cord had been severed cleanly by a sharp blade of some sort. And I may be mistaken, but it didn't look like much time had passed since it was cut.
Yeah.
Excuse me, hello?
why? I know. Okay? I know. He got blunt force rock trauma to the head. He's young. He's stupid. He just wants to call his wife.
Yeah.
The hospital payphone is cut. And the guy's like, uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. What the fuck
This is a dilly of a pickle.
Yeah, this is quite the dilly of a pickle. I go, oh, great. My bad. Go back to my room. Look at Oishi. They fucking cut the phone line. It's time to leave. And Oishi goes, no, foo. That's Hinamizawa for you. And then the Seinfeld theme plays, and then they leave. It's not that hard. It's not that hard, Akasaka. Let me go out in obvious clothing into the middle of Hinamizawa in the dark to another payphone that's cut. Not even, he probably wouldn't have made it there in time.
Yeah.
I hate this motherfucker.
Opening up the booth's window at the tobacco shop, I looked for someone in the dimly lit interior. Eventually, there was the sounds of somebody plodding downstairs, and an old lady appeared. The old lady's plodding and lethargic steps, for some reason, only served to make me more frantic.
You need some cigarettes? I'll need to get to my husband.
I'm not here to buy cigarettes, rather this phone here. Realizing that saying the phone was broken and asking them to take a look at it was gonna get me nowhere, I swallowed back my words. Sorry, it seems that this phone is broken. I was wondering if you could tell me where there's another payphone. The old lady moved her jaw up and down, slowly, as if chewing on the meaning of my words. It seemed that she wouldn't understand until she had digested things thoroughly.
So the payphone is broken. That's a delay of a pickle. You should try another payphone.
The old lady said the same thing.
That's a delay of a pickle.
You're telling me you're not sussed out. Even like subconsciously at this point. You're not like,
What?
that's weird. Why did she say that? Is that like a local saying around here? Hot Fuzz. Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Blues Brothers.
Ow.
Except the Blues Brothers are Akasaka and Oishi.
The old lady directed me to another payphone that seemed quite a ways away. Her way of telling me was so long-winded that I inadvertently started to get impatient. At that moment, I spied a clock in the dim interior of the store. The minute hand was just about to point straight up. Even if there was a phone right here I could use, it would only be able to tell Yukie good night with the time I had left.
It is the one payphone that's usable that everyone gets killed in. He's actually right. They have a suicide booth payphone.
On top of that, my destination was a remote payphone, which I didn't know the exact distance to. If I was of a normal state of mind, deciding to give up the phone today would have been the natural thought process.
No shot. You know you're not going to be able to call her. He's going to walk in the phone booth and Rika's going to be in there. And she's going to be like, go back to Tokyo. I hate this game. This one sucks. This is the bottom of the barrel. This game sucks.
But at that moment, I had become somewhat stubborn for some reason. Unable to use the phone in the hospital and coming out here and still being unable to use one. There was no mistaking that I had become quite insistent on using a phone. Thank you very much. I'll try looking for that phone booth. Refusing her offer to draw me a map, I left the tobacco shop.
I'm gonna kill Akasaka. I'm gonna do it.
You're gonna reach through the screen. That's why Keiichi scratches his neck out. You reach through the screen and do it yourself.
Fucking kill myself.
According to the old lady, even though the phone booth was quite far away, it'd be easy to find. If I just followed the road straight down, I'd eventually find it. Sandals flapping as I ran, I couldn't help but laugh at myself. I'll admit that I was quite steadfast about calling Yukie. But there were days when I was tired or busy when I wouldn't call her. Even today, my entire body was covered with injuries, and I was dead tired. On top of that, there wasn't much time left. Wouldn't be strange at all if today was one of those days I didn't call her. But having twice been foiled trying to call her, had I become hot-headed about it? Was I like a dog who was being told stay with a piece of food dangled in my face?
I'm sorry, I'm just thinking about it. He calls her and Yukie picks up the phone.
Yeah. Yeah. What'd she say? What'd she say, Connor?
Yuki picks up the phone, and she's just like,
Is that my little Bow Wow?
and then Akasaka barks at her. And then time runs out, and he hangs up the phone. And then he gets like shot in the back of the head. But the Sonozaki family has to watch this grown-ass man with bandages on his head, hospital gown, ass out.
As full moon.
Yeah, ass full moon out, sandals out, and they hear a very muffled and then he barks, and then they shoot him in the back of the head. And that's the end of Akasaka. That's how he dies.
That's his story.
That's his last words.
The only reason I think you can envision this is because I think you would do it.
That's not true.
This
You
is me.
can't
This
say
is
that.
you. This
can't
is
say that.
entirely you.
You can't put that on recording.
This would be how you die. See, what we do here now is we completely
It's
lie
on
about
brand.
Connor's personality just to gaslight him.
You can't say that as I say it's on brand.
This is literally being gaslit into being a bottom bitch.
All I'm saying.
I literally just say the most out-of-pocket thing, and you're like, yeah, I'm probably gonna do that. It's like, no, motherfucker, you're not supposed to do that.
No, I want to die in a really goofy way. That's genuinely that's how I want to go in a really goofy ass way.
You'll be like in Morocco, and you get kidnapped, and you have to like phone your parents for a
Ransom.
ransom. And instead of saying, yeah, they want you to pay like $50,000 to release me, you go, arf! And you get shot. Traumatized your mother for life.
I'm on the phone, and you hear me turn away and go, "What are you gonna do? Shoot me?" And then boom, boom. But it's on brand. It's on brand. I'm sorry. The mental image of Akasaka getting shot in the back of the head naked on a hospital gown while barking in Hinamizawa was pretty funny to me.
What am I doing? Even so, I somehow couldn't quell the uneasy feeling sitting in the pit of my stomach.
He's gonna get to this one. It's gonna be cut.
It was like that with the hospital phone, the same with the one at the tobacco shop. Both cords were definitely not severed from being frayed by long years of use. The clean cuts indicated that someone had taken something sharp and deliberately cut them. But who? And for what reason?
Ooh, wonder.
It's Rika.
Yeah?
Except she's not cutting them.
She's biting into him. She's
Yeah,
gnawing them
she's going, and she cleans it in one bite.
with her big buck teeth.
Yeah. And he thinks it's like a clean like cut like with a blade, but she's just eating the cord in between. Like she pulls the cord out and eats the middle section and then just leaves the two to dangle there.
Yeah, I've had a cat do that. Yeah, sounds
Yeah.
on brand.
Yeah. She's a little robot, you know?
Little kitten, fucking moron.
She's got to get the
Asshole
copper
starts
wire.
fraying my cords. Like, god damn it.
She's got to sell the copper wire somewhere, man.
She eats it. It's good for her.
It's good for her heroin addiction.
Yeah. True.
It's a scuffed episode. It's a good chapter.
The more I thought about it, the uneasier I felt, so I tried to push the thought aside. How much had I run so far? The scenery around me was no longer that of the shopping district, with residential buildings scattered about a lonely road.
I walk a lonely road, the only one that I have ever known. I sang like Germa there, I'm sorry. That was actually a Germa impression. I didn't mean to do that.
The surroundings already grown dark. I was blatantly out too far for a quick phone call.
No, guys, I'm not a bot. I'm not a bot.
Chat.
I'm not a bot.
I'm not a bot. Time that guy out. Time him out for an hour. Actually, maybe an hour's too long. Ban him. Ban that guy. You know, Germa's like 38 this year.
Yeah.
And he's still this funny, if not funnier than he was
40.
before. Germa is pushing 40, and he is still like hip with the Zoomers.
No, the Zoomers gaslight him into fucking.
And that's
doing
why everyone loves Germa, dude. Because Germa streams are just chat gaslighting him for like 6 hours.
I was blatantly out too far for a quick phone call, and it was quite obvious I was far removed from the hospital. I recalled the clock I saw at the tobacco shop. It might almost be time. I'd run for quite a bit, so my breathing had grown quite ragged.
Based.
If I had just wanted to hear Yukie's voice, I should have just thrown away my reservations and borrowed the phone in the office. I regretted it a little. Well then, was it about time to give up? Just when I thought that, I saw the lights in front of me. I had finally found it. It was a phone booth.
It's gonna be cut as well.
It seemed that the light in the phone booth had recently been changed, and it shone with a vivid white light.
Yeah.
Akasaka is just like,
Yeah, I'm lost in the woods, and the bear trap in front of me is stainless steel and looks like it was bought yesterday. But that doesn't mean that anyone's in the woods hunting me right now. Maybe it's just a coincidence. All these cables and lights have been changed recently, but who knows why that happened? Maybe it's just a stroke of luck.
stupid, dumb, idiot, moron, stinky. I hate him.
Although in the gloom of Hinamizawa, it was nothing more than a gathering spot for moths. But in any case, I had finally found it. As my hand touched the door to the phone booth, I realized that I was breathing and sweating heavily. I didn't know what time it was right now, but even if it was just for a moment, I might be able to get in touch with Yukie. Since I had spent all this effort getting here, turning back without even giving it a try was out of the question. Before I picked up the receiver, another wave of uneasiness washed over me. I was worried that this phone might be severed as well. That was the cord in this phone booth. Squatting down, I followed the bundles of cables as they ran along the corner into the ceiling. At a glance, nothing was out of the ordinary. I ran my fingers as far as I could along the line to check it out. The only thing they found was a thick layer of dust. Nothing out of the ordinary.
They find a pipe bomb.
I wondered if it was popular in Hinamizawa to cut the cords of a payphone as some sort of tasteless prank. It might be prudent to talk to Oishi-san about this later. Even if it was nothing more than a prank, it was still a vandalism of public property. In any case, this one was fine, this time. Pulling out a coin from my pocket with one hand, I picked up the receiver with the other.
They're gonna have like, he's gonna pick the receiver up and go to put it on his ear, and there's gonna be like 8 needles sticking out of the receiver, like very obviously sticking out of the receiver, like is in like this is the receiver, and like the needles are like this far out, and there's like 8 of them, and he's gonna go,
That's a weird prank to play in Hinamizawa.
and then just stick himself with it. I hate Akasaka.
But this time, before the receiver even reached my ear, I felt something was off. The receiver was light. It was more than a slightly unpleasant feeling. It felt almost sickening. To verify the source of my displeasure, I peered at the receiver in my hands with a measure of repugnance. What the hell is this?
Every phone booth in Hinamizawa is severed. Could you imagine going into a phone booth and checking all the cabling and then going, oh, I guess it works. That's a visual gag for the...
It's like when you go to pick
One
up
of us.
a jug of milk, but it's that you think is full, but it's empty. You go, full.
was another visual gag, but explained more in detail.
And with audio, so you could tell what I did.
Yeah, you get the vroom. Oh shit. And that's where, like in Photoshop, I want you to just drag a carton of milk really quickly upwards.
The coiled cord that connected the receiver to the rest of the phone had been ripped apart, the tip of the cable swaying in the air. It was all I could do to restrain myself as a raw and unpleasant feeling worked its way up the small of my back.
The reason it's ripped is because it's a lot thicker, so it took her like a couple more bites.
I just got a mental image of like Rika as like a beaver like gnawing on a cable. Except it's like a log level of thickness, and Akasaka thinks this is completely normal for Hinamizawa. She's chewing on like a telephone line like level of like thick cable, and Akasaka's just like, I guess the phones are wired weird here.
It was all like, small my back. It was a type of dread. At that moment, I heard the crunch of somebody stepping on gravel. The light was reflecting off the glass walls of the booth, leaving me unable to see outside into the darkness. I steeled myself and stepped out of the phone booth.
It's gonna be Rika, dude. I'm telling you, it's gonna be Rika. For sure, it's gonna be Rika.
The inside of the booth was lit with a strong light, which might have made it warmer in there. Just stepping outside, I could feel a chill wash over me. And there was a silhouette of a person.
You know what my favorite part about this whole thing is?
What's that?
Maybe Rika thinks he's like trying to call headquarters, right? Or he's trying to call like the office or whatever. Maybe Hinamizawa thinks he's trying to call the feds.
Yeah.
He's just trying to call his wife.
Mm-hmm.
That's all he wants.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't care about being a cop right now. He cares about being a loving and wonderful Japanese husband. He doesn't care about anything else, you know?
Yeah.
A small silhouette.
It's gonna be Rika. I called this like an hour ago.
Yeah. The long hair of that silhouette was blown about by the cool breeze.
I'm so glad Rika eating the cables is canon. I'm so glad that that's canon.
My, this is a dilly of a pickle. Injured people shouldn't be sneaking out of the hospital.
Oh boy. Somewhere in my head, I knew who this girl was. I didn't have any basis for it, but I knew that she was that girl.
Right, Akasaka?
She, Rika Furude, said that almost like it was a warning. Did you do this to the phone cord?
Hmm?
Her expression remained unchanged, and my question was left unanswered. In other words, no response. Regardless, I felt that she had affirmed my suspicions. Why would you do something like this? Why? The last word had a tinge of anger behind it. I frantically tried to smooth things out, but she didn't seem very afraid.
There's nothing that can be done.
Huh? I interpreted her words as meaning that I wasn't going to be in time for calling hours at the hospital.
What? There you go, thank you.
But thinking about it, that would have been a strange thing to say. Why would she know something like that? I could take what she had said to have any other meaning. She just stood there like a mannequin, not even moving an inch. Almost to the point that if the wind wasn't occasionally rustling through her long hair, there would be the illusion that time had stopped.
She is definitely an avatar of the stranger. For sure.
I know very well you think I'm disgusting, Akasaka.
What?
Huh? No, that's not true.
Akasaka has some really good describers. Man.
No, that's not true.
My denial came out almost like a bad piece composed for a poetry slam, but her words were right on the mark. I'd always felt something ominous and uncanny about her, ever since her strange threats at the shrine.
Hee hee.
The shit-eating, goofy-ass Rika face.
She had noticed that my expression was contrary to my words, seemingly laughing at the gap between them.
Akasaka, you coward.
I'm not a coward. I got shot like a day ago. Being laughed at by this small child didn't sit well with me, so I said that.
Even if you find another phone, it's too late.
That's right. She didn't even have to say it. I was absolutely too late. I might have already missed calling hours even by the time I reached his phone booth.
Akasaka lives this by being retarded. Akasaka will live this situation because he is not thinking about the Sonozaki's Hinamizawa, the dam project. He's thinking about calling his wife.
Yeah.
That is why he will live this. My read is that he is so focused on Yukie, he's not gonna give a damn about anything else going on. He'll just be like, I want to see my wife give birth to our child.
Yeah.
Later. Yeah. I don't care.
I was too late. I had no option but to give up for today. Once I decided that, my unhealthy obsession with phones suddenly faded. Even I thought that it was strange that I was that obsessed. This strange obsession now gone, I began to laugh at how hopeless I was. I mean, just look at what I was wearing. It wasn't normal. A hospital gown and sandals, my head wrapped in bandages and my body completely soaked in sweat. It was a wonder that the old lady at the tobacco shop wasn't surprised to see me. Oh my goodness. With wanting to hear Yukie's voice as my motive, I had traipsed around the town all evening. I didn't know whether to call it the follies of youth or simply plain embarrassing. In any case, it was all I could do to laugh at myself.
Now, there's nothing left for Akasaka to do tonight.
You're right. There's nothing. I'll just quietly return to the hospital.
That's fine. Do you know the way?
I hope I do.
Just starts walking. He just said, fuck it. So obviously this is Rika, like, saving him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sure.
Sure. I mean, he lived.
Yeah. The phone bomb didn't go off.
That's because Rika she chewed through the last wire too fast. See, and this is, you know, you want, all right, I can metagame it, okay? I'll be meta here. I'll be not funny.
What's that? What are you saying?
The phone cord in the hospital is cut. The phone cord in the smoke shop is cut. They're both cut clean. They're both cut recently. The girl in the smoke shop ain't surprised to see a fucked up Akasaka walk in and do all that shit. She has no reaction. Obviously, she's expecting him. Obviously, they called her and told her, hey, cut the cord for this guy. Send him to where we want him. Keep him chasing phones. Keep him going this way. They send him to this booth. They were obviously expecting him to make a phone call at this booth.
Yeah.
Because this wire is not cut clean. It was ripped out. Rika already knows she's time looping. Come on, we've been talking about this. She's in Groundhog Day. We already know she's time looping. The tips in this game confirm that she's time looping. Obviously, she knows that he's trying to call his wife. Obviously, she rips the cord out and is like, hey.
Keep going. Keep going, I'm listening.
Obviously, she rips the cord out and is like, hey, you're too late to call your wife, even if you find a phone. Go home. And Akasaka's like, oh, dang, I guess I gotta go home.
Yeah.
Hey, come on. I'm not stupid.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I actually am pretty confident on this one.
Okay.
I actually am pretty confident in this. I'm pretty confident that Rika is time looping and she's purposely saving Akasaka. I mean, she tries to save Keiichi and watanagashi, and we see how that goes. And then somebody just guts her and Tatanagaroshi, which I guess is like whatever, you know.
It's just whatever.
Who
cares?
Who cares? She gets
core
like
mystery.
bored in Onikakushi.
Yeah.
She gets backroomed, like. So clearly she's trying to save someone.
She waved her little hand as I began to head back the way I came. She began to follow alongside me. Looking at her face, I could see that she wore a mischievous smile. As in, she was extremely interested in whether or not I get lost. Is Rika-chan's house also this way?
It is.
Won't your parents be mad that you're walking around alone at this hour?
Not really. My parents are busy today, so they probably forgot about me.
What if he just like picks her up and is like, "You want to come with? You want to go to Tokyo?
You want
with
to go
me?"
to Tokyo with me?
Even then, it's best if you head on home. They'll definitely be angry.
Even if they are, I'm much more interested in. It's much more interesting to talk with Akasaka, so I'm fine.
Based.
She said that with a face free of worry as she looked up at me once more and smiled.
Yeah, she's walking with him because she's guarding him, because no one's gonna fuck with Rika. She's literally the fucking, Lagrius from Monster Hunter Tri. She's the flagship creature of Hinamizawa. You know?
Interesting
Like, come on.
comparison there.
You know what I'm talking about. He gets it.
When she showed me that smile, the eerie feeling surrounding her faded. But even then, she still was as mysterious to me as ever. We arrived at the corner I had turned at earlier, but it was much darker than before, and with the point of view changed on the return trip, I wasn't very confident that this actually was the corner I turned at.
There's not mistake.
Jeez.
There's no mistake. It had to be this corner. As I began to move my feet again, the girl grabbed onto my clothes.
Isn't Akasaka going back to the hospital?
Of course, at least I intend to. Am I going the wrong way? A short moment of silence. Eventually, still holding on to my clothes, she began to walk. It was the beginning of the walk to the hospital this mysterious girl would take me on.
Intermission. And I hit the...
Yeah. What is that? 90? I forget.
The person who was running around cutting all the phone cords was you, wasn't it, Rika-chan? You shouldn't do that anymore.
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Really? She tried to play dumb, but it was written all over her face.
Look at that dumb smile.
Nipa
Star.
It was obvious she was trying to laugh it off, but that adorable smile of hers just made me want to forgive her. I'm gonna be a horrible father, aren't I? The momentary lapse in tension was erased by her next words.
It's good that they found the grandson safe and sound.
Unable to respond right away, I sunk into silence. I had already learned this from Sato-san's info, didn't I? This girl, no, this entire village knew everything since the moment I set a foot in. I considered playing dumb, but in the end I chose not to. With everything being known already, there was no point in me feigning ignorance. Somehow.
That's great. Now you can go back to Tokyo.
Thank you.
Are injuries bad, Akasaka?
Don't know. I haven't heard anything from the doctor yet, so I don't know if they are or not. Huh? Come to think of it, I vaguely remember being told to lie down, take it easy for at least 24 hours. Did that mean bed rest?
The wounded shouldn't be sneaking out of the hospital.
People shouldn't be cutting phone cords.
Me. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Then I don't know what you're talking about either. As we played dumb with each other, we both laughed at the same time. If somebody saw us laughing at each other like this, it would probably bring a smile to their lips.
Akasaka's getting better at this.
The chances of Akasaka leaving this village weren't very high. I don't want Akasaka to die, so I'm glad you're leaving this village alive.
Rika-chan, did you know what I was, right from the beginning? She said nothing but gave a firm nod. Well then, I think you know this, but we're probably somewhat of an enemy to the people in this village, I would think. But you still gave me lots of warnings. That's right. She said it at the time. She wouldn't warn somebody that she was okay with dying. She definitely said something like that. Then I should probably be thanking you.
You probably should. I'm your savior.
I told you. Saying that, she puffed up her chest proudly. She said it jokingly, but the meaning behind those words were quite heavy. That was because whether I lived or died was a decision that might have been made in a place unbeknownst to me. She said those words with such an adorable smile that it took a few moments of silence for their weight to settle in. I'd been to this place before.
Fuck it. Let's send it, I guess. I don't know. Fuck it. Let's roll.
The Defense Alliance office was there. It was the stone steps leading up to the Furude shrine. When I passed by it before, I was so focused on finding a phone booth, I hadn't realized where I was. If I recall correctly, the shrine is Rika-chan's house, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Looking up at the shrine grounds, it was brightly lit and energetic voices could be heard. What was going on?
There's a festival today.
So watanagashi today?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because it's the night they kill the guy. Yeah.
A festival?
The best and only festival in Hinamizawa. The Watanagashi Festival.
Watanagashi, cotton drifting.
Just knowing the name is boring. Do you want to take a look?
Akasaka pulls up to the watanagashi. Head bandaged, ass out, flippity floppity, and everyone's just like, hey!
Hey!
What's up, Fed?
How's it?
That's it. They don't give a shit.
She asked bluntly, but seeing that I looked interested, she climbed up a couple of steps and motioned for me to come. I was only going to go back and sleep anyways. If I had nothing else to do, it might not be a bad idea to go with her on a little detour. In the hostile territory that was this village, I didn't know what would happen if I ventured down a side road without Oishi. Even though I thought of the village like that, when I was with this little girl, I forgot all about it. In any case, even without anything to back it up, I felt that as long as I was with her, none of the ill will from the village would befall me. That's why, even though I knew my cover was blown, I strangely had no qualms about setting foot into the heart of the Onikafuchi Defense Alliance territory. Climbing up the grounds of the shrine, I could see there were about 3 pavilions set up, with meeting tables and folding chairs. The old folk from the village, no, the executives of the Defense Alliance, were already quite drunkenly sharing another round of drinks. I could only see it as the people from the village council drinking while enjoying the evening air. At the very least, it was certainly quite different than any festival I'd ever seen.
See? It's quite a boring festival, isn't it?
It certainly doesn't look like a festival.
It's a festival that's happened since long ago, but as you can see, it's not like it used to be.
As if to chide the old folks, she said that while looking at them with an exasperated expression. You really couldn't call this a festival anymore. It was just a bunch of neighbors getting together to drink under the guise of a festival. I feel sorry for the deity being celebrated here.
Give this sorry excuse for a festival 5 or 6 more years, then everybody in the village would start coming. The ceremony will also be done properly, and it'll be a respectable festival again. 5 or 6 more years, huh, Rika?
Smiley?
What she said was not so much wishful thinking, as it was the telling of a future that had already been determined. She wasn't even predicting it. It was almost like she was simply reporting the results. That's how it sounded.
Why is it so hot in here?
It's because it's always this hot in here. Also because I'm sitting here.
He's too easy, honestly, with the jokes.
We've been doing this for too long, man. It's going on too long.
Even though it was baseless speculation, the way she said it wouldn't let me interject. It was the same way she talked about when she changed. Or talked while she changed. I struggled to find the words to reply to her. She wandered over to the other side of the grounds, not minding me at all. Not in a state where I could afford to be left behind, I hurriedly followed after her. Passing through a copse of pine trees, a strong and cool breeze ruffled my hair. There, from that one evening, was the splendid observation platform the girl had shown me. As it had grown completely dark, the modest lights littered across the nightscape were providing a different type of scenery.
Looking at it like this, the village seems quite tranquil.
She said that with an indifferent look on her face. There we go. Just the other day, you said that this village definitely wouldn't be submerged by the dam, didn't you? She didn't reply, seemingly relishing the feeling of the wind blowing through her hair. Didn't that mean, at this point in time, the minister had already complied? The minister had already complied with the demands? She spun around, her gaze meeting mine, but she said nothing. She spoke nothing that would neither confirm nor deny what I had just said. This case will probably remain shrouded in darkness. Headquarters probably doesn't want trouble from a scandal with the minister breaking out.
There's no mistake that they threatened to kill the grandchild.
Then, negotiations with the minister were successful, and the grandson was released.
The one who saved the grandson was you.
I wonder about that. The discovery of that wallet had started this chain of events. That alone was almost too convenient, I think. Ever since the moment that the wallet was discovered, I felt something was odd. Oishi said it as well, that the Sonozaki family had given the order to release the hostage. Meaning that our little manhunt was a farce to begin with. Come to think of it, I was punched, kicked, and had a gun pointed at me. Felt like they put up quite a fight, but that might have all been part of a good performance. Once the negotiations were successful, they couldn't just say, "Here you go," and return the minister's grandson right to his doorstep. They knew that public safety had realized this was a kidnapping case and were moving in on it. That's why, due to the actions of public safety, the grandson was able to be rescued safely. So the minister didn't give in to any unreasonable demands. That type of performance was necessary.
I don't know about those difficult things.
Likewise. Even for me, I can't make much sense of it, but there's one thing I can be certain of. It's just as you said. This village won't be submerged. The dam project will soon be over. That wasn't something an officer of the law should be saying, but I naturally let those words slip from my mouth. This village may have stirred up all sorts of trouble, but that was because they were protecting their homes. If someone just decided by themselves that I had to leave the house I was used to living in, I would resent them as well. On top of that, it wasn't a place like mine where I just happened to be renting it, but a place that their family had lived for generations. Might be ignorant to call their desperate resistance an overreaction. I might not really be qualified to criticize politics or bureaucracy, but deliberately building a dam on land that was loved by its residents wasn't something I could get behind. Still, aren't you glad?
Why would that be?
At the very least, with this, peace will return to this village. Even though the minister promised to use his considerable influence to cancel the project, it would probably take more than a few months before it would be completely scrapped. At the very least, it would probably take 1 or 2 years. For the villagers to officially hear that their village wasn't going to be submerged at the bottom of a dam was still a ways away. But it was no mistaking that the promise of peace returning to the village was there. It turned out, from beginning to end, that it had already been decided. Just as the girl had said, it was decided. There wasn't really a need for me to come in here in the first place. There was absolutely no need for me to have come here and aggravate an unpleasant situation. If I had never come here, then the grandson release might have been done in a more amicable manner.
Peace? In this village?
When I nodded, she laughed as if to admonish me, but her face remained indifferent, expressionless. And then her eyes narrowed slightly as she snickered.
Even though every year from now, something bloody will occur.
Rika-chan, what are you talking about? As the wind blew her hair about, the girl, as if taking pleasure in that I was the only one who didn't know, continued to snicker as she looked at my face for a while.
You see, in a few years, I'll be killed.
Whoa! The Rika-chan was the one writing the weird notes in the tips reveal. That's crazy. Oh my god, who would have guessed? Whoa.
Yeah, but we're finally here. It's finally happening.
I'm sorry, I had to. You know I had to.
Yeah, you had to ruin the moment, you piece of shit.
Yeah. I'm sorry I've been taking the piss out of your favorite chapter.
My literally favorite moment.
I
Right
know.
here, right here. This is my favorite part of the fucking question arcs. You're gonna fucking.
I'm sorry. I know I'm taking the piss out of your favorite chapter. You gotta understand, I'm really enjoying this chapter. This chapter's really fucking good. You know damn well I don't start taking the piss out of it unless I'm actually, like, focused and involved. You know, I'm honestly surprised you didn't expect me to do this with this chapter.
I'm kidding.
I know, of course you are, yeah, obviously, but I figured you would have expected me to, like...
No, I expect you to ruin everything, honestly.
That's fair, because I usually do.
Huh? Backlit by the moon, it was hard to tell if her expression that had been cast in shadow was smiling, amused, or resigned. You are. Why?
It's a very unpleasant thing, though. It's also probably been decided already.
Decided already? Who would decide that sort of thing?
I'd like to know that as well.
Turning back to face me, she showed me a resolute expression for the first time. And after staring into my eyes for a moment, she turned back to gaze at the scenery before she spoke her next words.
There's a lot of people who have no regard for human life. Even if I tell you this, it might not change anything, though. But if you want to erase the specter of death, sometimes, like with a reflection of the moon on the water, all you have to do is throw a small stone.
I had no idea what she was trying to say. It's just, I had to listen to every word with my body and soul. Or at least that's what I thought.
This day next year, yes, June 1979, on this day, the foreman of the dam construction project will be killed.
What? For a moment, I couldn't comprehend what she was talking about. By the foreman, did she mean that gruff old man I played mahjong with? What? Be killed? What makes you think? She didn't answer, but she had the same expression on her face as she did when she declared that the dam project would go away. That wasn't the face of somebody making a forecast or a prediction. It was something that was already decided, no. It was as if she was already reporting the results. That sort of expression.
After being killed in a gruesome manner, the body will be torn apart and disposed of.
Murdered and dismembered.
The next year, in June of 1980, on this day, Sadako's parents will be pushed to their deaths.
Sadako. It was the first time I'd heard that name, but I didn't have the courage to interrupt the girl's story.
It might be an accident. An unfortunate accident.
The girl smiled faintly, but she wasn't exactly encouraging me to smile along with the lifeless look in her eyes.
And then, a year after that, this day on June of 1981, my parents will be killed. And then, the year after that, this day in June of 1982, Sadako's abusive aunt will have her head split open and die. And then the year after that, on this day in June of 1983, or possibly a few days afterwards, I will be killed. If all the deaths are preordained, then the last one would also be all according to plan. But then whose plan would that be? The village is full of murderers and people who have no regard for human life. It would be fine to believe all the deaths up to 1982 would be the work of somebody in the village. It would be fine to believe that all the deaths that would occur at the discretion of those who control the village. But that didn't explain what would happen in 1983. There was no way that the last death would fit in with anybody's plans. They had no regard for human life. They would use every means at their disposal to meet their goals. But their goals were at odds with the last death. That's why the last death was unrelated to them. But that last death would definitely, most likely, probably, without question, happen. Probably, definitely, I dare say, the last death would be a merciful one. A handkerchief or something being placed over their mouth, making them lose consciousness, never to wake up again. Exactly whose plan was that? I want to live happily. That's my only wish. Surrounded by my precious friends, spending our days enjoyably. Only that. I don't wish for anything more than that.
Eureka-chan.
I don't want to die.
The girl, stoic as ever, let those last words slip in at the end.
I like how the mystery is now no longer about is it paranormal or is it a person, but now about who is killing Rika every year.
Who is killing Rika? Who is perpetuating these?
I like that that's the twist. Is the twist is not, oh man, the Watanagashi's really crazy. I wonder who's killing everyone during the Watanagashi. It is, yeah, it's the village, dumb shit, but who's killing Rika every year?
If it were the village, if the perpetrators of the deaths of every year were the village, why does Rika die? That's because she's referring to the them. Hold on.
No, I get you. I'm gonna finish the chapter and now I'm gonna think about it.
Eventually, we were discovered by some drunks. The girl, as well as I, were dragged back to the festivities. Everybody was completely drunk, so even when they saw my head completely wrapped in bandages, they wouldn't let me leave. Well, certainly, if I was in good enough conditions to slip out of the hospital, it must not be that serious. The girl was mingling with everybody, being pampered like a kitten. Her expression was adorable, nothing like the one from just before. Predicting her own death and whispering that she didn't want to die. Having said that, having a silly and lively conversation like this, it was hard to believe that these people were the core of an extremist resistance group. Even if it was a shell of its former self, it was a festival where people in the village gathered, so the 20-something odd folk here should have included some of the village executives and other important members. Among those, there was no doubt that there were members that were at the Sonozaki family council in attendance. Meaning, even if we were never met face to face before, there were probably people here who knew my identity. In a small village like this, they knew the faces of all the villages that lived here. That's why, without even saying anything, it would soon become obvious that I was an outsider. But they actually seemed interested by that, asking me all sorts of questions about Tokyo, drinking while musing on the faint relationship the city had with the villagers and emphasizing with the rather meager environment. The confidential talks with the ministers were finished. His grandson was in police custody. Everything was over. I might not have to be put in another perilous situation. To me, they were only adversaries because of my job. Outside of that, there was no reason I couldn't be friendly with them. The next time I visited this village, would it return to being a tranquil and beautiful place? If that happened, I might be able to take a relaxed walk around the village with her again. My cup was once again filled to the brim with beer.
Do you think, obviously not, but like, I feel like Akasaka, if the Sonozakis were less crazy, could just show up and be like, wear just like a badge that just says, I know I'm not here for work. And just walk around with that. And that's it. Because I feel like Akasaka could fit into Hinamizawa perfectly well. As he said, the only reason he's at odds with him is his job. He doesn't give a shit about anything else. My boy wants to go back and like take his wife and his kid and all this shit, like be friendly with the village.
Yeah.
I still really wanted him to be Tomatake. I thought that was gonna be funny as fuck. Or like Tomatake, or Jiro Tomatake is like a fake name. Jiro is like a fake name he uses.
By the time I was able to get away, it was the middle of the night. The girl at some point had disappeared. It seemed that her parents had told her to go home and sleep when she let out a large yawn. The old folk, who had absolutely no remorse for making an injured person hang out with them, told me as much as they laughed. I was just there drinking, so I had thought to help a bit with the cleanup. However, my help was refused on the grounds that I was a guest. On top of that, they had a car prepared to take me back to the hospital. Losing the battle against my sleepiness inside the car, I was sound asleep until we reached the parking lot of the hospital. The front door of the hospital was naturally locked at this hour. Wandered around bewilderingly searching for a back entrance until someone on night duty found and let me inside.
Where were you at this late at night? Dr. Irie was worried, you know.
Sorry for the trouble. I was held up by people having a festival at the shrine.
Oh, did they say something about everybody in the town council getting together? They did say something about everybody in the town council getting together for a drink. My condolences. Are your wounds alright?
They're throbbing a bit. It's probably because of the alcohol, I think.
No, that's right. The detective that was with you wanted to get in touch.
Oops. I kept Oishi-san waiting. I glanced at the clock. No matter how you looked at it, it was way too late to call him now. I'll apologize to him tomorrow over the phone. I returned back to my hospital room and slipped into the bed that was still unmade from the time I went outside. Oh, that's not good. I have to turn off the lights. But my weariness had cut the cord powering my body, lulling me into a deep sleep.
I was gonna say, I'm like, no shot they kill Akasaka. I can't believe that's how he ends this day.
Yeah.
Akasaka
Back in his bed.
finds Rika, gets lore dumped for the previous 3 games, gets shit-faced at the watanagashi, and then goes to bed.
Yeah. The prophecy at the beginning.
That's good. I like that name. And I love that the village is just like, fuck yeah, man, come drink. Like, how's Tokyo? Tell us about Tokyo. Like, yeah, we know you're a Fed, but tell us about Tokyo, man. Let's go. We're chilling. That chapter's really fucking good. That's honestly the best chapter in this game. That's really fucking good.
Yeah. I told you.
That's a really fucking good chapter. All right, you want to do tips?
Yes, sir. Should probably pee real quick, but
That's up to you, man. I'm chilling. You got 3 of them bitches to read, so if you want to go, now's the time.
all right.
Act
Mood
Focus.
change. We gotta
Focus.
switch.
We have to be
Switch.
sad. We have to be sad.
Mother's diary.
Can't
1,
think
2,
about
and 3.
Dylan screaming at the top of his lungs.
There was something I didn't like about my child. God fucking damn it.
XD.
I first realized it when I started writing these things down. They never warn you about it in any books about raising children, but they aren't just a plaything. If they aren't able to feel loved, even when they're doing exactly as their parents want. If they aren't able to feel loved, even when they're not doing exactly as their parents want them to, then those parents are failures. This is something I like about. This wasn't something like that, though. How can I say it? It was probably harder to express with mere words. I just want my child to be average. As long as they weren't falling behind, there wasn't any need for them to excel at anything. As long as they acted appropriately for their age, I would have been fine with it. But my child has been different ever since kindergarten. While the children in her class were running around in excitement about a field trip the next day, she only wore a bored look on her face, aloof and distant. When the other kids broke the equipment for the athletics festival and they were apologizing fervently, she only wore a bored look on her face, aloof and distant. When the teacher was reading a fun picture book, only she wasn't smiling. Even if they all got to eat a delicious bento, only she wasn't happy. If it was only this, it would still be in the realm of understanding. However, what I don't understand about my child is that if the aforementioned situations happened again, they'd now act in a manner befitting their age. I don't understand the principle behind that as a parent. Why were they indifferent about the field trip, but happy about this one? Why were they indifferent about that picture book, but happy about this one? Why were they indifferent about that bento, but happy about this one? The former and the latter in each situation seem exactly the same to me. There was even times when I thought the former was better. I don't understand that child's feelings. During parent-teacher meetings, the teacher always says the same thing, and I would always respond that I don't understand my own child, and we emote together. My husband, always the optimist, once said that a young child's feelings are different from an adult's, so if there were some things we didn't understand, we shouldn't worry about it. I lament his lack of urgency. One day, when I was in a good mood, I took the effort to prepare a menu that my child would enjoy. But she only smiled with a vague expression of disinterest. That attitude frankly made me angry, so I hit her on the head. On a day when the weather was nice, the laundry I had just hung up to dry was blown by a large gust of wind, causing the entire line to fall down. But she, watching me try to pick up the laundry in a panic, stood there laughing. That attitude frankly made me angry, so I hit her on the head. I think the same sort of thing happened countless times. Before I knew it, my child was only able to look at me with an indifferent expression on her face. I regret the fact that I've been a bad mother. Thinking I should regain her trust, I thought to get it back little by little with some light interactions. Seeing her do some sort of craft work on the veranda, I called out to her. These past few days have been nice and sunny. The air feels nice, doesn't it? That child, with a different look on her face, I hated so much, looked up at me for a moment, then without a word returned to immersing herself in her craft work. Up until now, I would have hit her on the head just for that. I held myself back.
How come my child doesn't like me?
I abuse her. Why doesn't she like me?
How come every time she does anything, I hit her on the head? But she doesn't love me. What the fuck, guys?
Damn, what the hell's going on?
You fucker! It's fine, I'll fix it.
What are you making?
I hit a 245 on my breast and I want to kill myself.
Is it a doll? A wither charm. That child was using inserts from the newspaper to deftly make some wither charms. The forecast hadn't called for rain, but that child, in her own way, was praying that the sunny days would continue. Being able to understand my own child for the first time in a while, I couldn't hide my own happiness.
Fucking dumb bitch, she wants the rain.
Bringing out a ball of yarn. Yeah, you're right. Wow, congrats.
I know, I read the tip.
Bringing out a ball of yarn, I began to hang my child's cute weather charms from the eaves of the house. It's no good, Rika. The heads are too heavy, see? They've become reverse weather charms now. If they're like this, they'll call the rain instead of the sun. When I started to take them down, my child tugged on the hem of my shirt as if to stop me. That's because I made them to be upside down. They're fine. But Rika, if they're upside down, they won't be charms to call for a sunny day, you know. I was making charms for it to rain, so they're fine. I desperately suppressed the emotions welling up inside me. I was trying desperately to understand my child. Oh, I see. The morning glories in the garden were starting to get a little wilted from the sun, so you wanted some rain, right? That child turned to me with the expression that I hated the most. I got bored of the clear weather. I don't understand. I just can't understand that child.
It's pretty easy, man. She's just bored.
Yeah.
Rika's mom sucks. I'm glad they killed her.
Yeah. Same.
Actual Z tier character. Put her on the bottom of the popularity chart.
Never anybody even voted for her.
Good.
During the family council, she buried herself under Odio's futon again.
I'd vote for Odio before her.
Yeah. Odio dotes on her unwaveringly. No matter whatever insolence my child commits, she doesn't mind. As long as it's almost as though my child is a kitten or something. Odio dotes on her exactly like he would a kitten. As her mother, I chided her for doing that. Until Odio-san had said 3 times that it was fine, I chided her as a formality. Of course, she never lends an ear to any of my chidings. Knowing that Odio-san's standing was far above mine, she behaves like that. I don't like the cunning that's unbefitting of her age either. In any case, not only Odio-san, but the rest of the old folk in the village spoil her too much. One day I was surprised. By chance, on the way back from some shopping, I saw her by herself just outside a candy shop. My own child suddenly grabbed a snack, opened the package right there and then, and started snacking on it.
Sorry.
She didn't make any attempt to pay for it, and she didn't even think of looking around. It didn't feel like she was shoplifting, more like she was brazenly eating snacks that were offered to her. When I began to admonish my child, the elderly shop owner appeared and covered for her. The owner gave the ridiculous excuse that he had said it was okay for the child to eat any of the snacks out of the entrance, so it was fine. When I tried to pay for the snacks my child had eaten, the owner refused my money. During that exchange, more old folks had suddenly gathered around and it began to feel like I wasn't the one I was the one in the wrong. The elderly people put their hands together reverently in front of my child and repeatedly voiced their respects. I was born into the Furude family, so it wasn't like I didn't know why she was being treated so especially. When I was still young, it was something I heard from my often from my grandmother. If by chance the child I gave birth to was a girl, that child would be the living incarnation of Oyashiro-sama. All the older folks believed that she was a living incarnation of Oyashiro-sama and spoiled her rotten. And not only did they spoil her, but they even told her she was a living incarnation of Oyashiro-sama, that she had divine power and threw all sorts of strange folktales her way. So she may have begun to believe herself that she was a special existence. I went around and told everybody that it wasn't good for her upbringing, so to stop telling her all these strange things. But there was no unrooting the elderly people's deep-seated superstitions. I told my child not to listen to them, but it ended up being that she stopped listening to me. Between all the old folks in the village who would dote on her, and myself, who only scolded her, there was no wonder who she would listen to. There was no mistaking the reason she had become strange was because of the elderly villagers. There's no doubt that they had shoved her head full. My God. There was no doubt that they had shoved her full of strange folktales and superstitions since she was young. If it wasn't for that, there was no doubt my child would have been cute and normal. Damn.
I like how it's not her fault, by the way.
Right?
I'm sorry, you sneezed when you weren't supposed to?
One sunny parent-teacher day, there was a cooking class and my child was making curry rice with a practiced hand. While the other children her age were awkwardly using their kitchen knives, that child was wielding it deftly. The teacher approached me with a smile on her face, saying it must be a result of learning it at home. I managed to play it off with a vague smile and nod in response. That's because I had never once taught my child how to make curry rice. Even then, she was peeling vegetables with a practiced hand, adding them to the pot in the order which it took longer to cook. For a normal parent, they might unintentionally clap their hands together, happy at their child's actions. But in my case, it was different. There's no mistaking that somebody had taught her how to make that curry rice when I wasn't taking care of her. Thinking that, I quietly fell into an unpleasant mood. When asked, it seemed that she could also sew, and do laundry. I had never taught her how to do those, and again, never saw her do it around the house. Be it cooking, sewing, or doing the laundry. Again, that was probably because the elderly villagers taught her all sorts of rubbish when I wasn't looking. Not only that, they probably taught her all sorts of strange superstitions, trying to prop her up as the living incarnation of Oyashiro-sama. I said as much to my husband, suggesting that we should keep our child away from the elderly folk. But my husband, who was in the position of being the head priest of the Furude Shrine, had little power against the elderly who supported it. He took a rather uncommitted stance of saying that, as long as she was being doted upon, wasn't it fine? I argued against that she was our child and should be a completely normal girl. What the elderly were expecting, that she was a living incarnation of Oyashiro-sama, was simply odd. The elderly villagers believe that child has divine powers. We would discuss the weather for the following day, but there would be many times when I left the house without an umbrella and came back soaking wet. Rather than having clairvoyance, that was just secondhand knowledge from her watching the news all the time. The things that she knew that she shouldn't have known were just a result of the people who were trying to indoctrinate her and the people who were gossiping getting together in the village. However, there were certainly days when everybody thought it was going to be a sunny all day, and the child would simply not go out without an umbrella. It would occasionally rain, and in the end, we would be saved. It might also have been times where Rika knew of major accidents in foreign countries faster than the news did. I thought she must have heard it break over the radio or something, knowing things she shouldn't have, something like that. Was in front of me right now, wasn't it? That child was making curry rice when there shouldn't have been anybody who taught her how to. No, that couldn't possibly be the case. Somebody had taught her, indoctrinated her. When I wasn't taking care of her, somebody had indoctrinated Rika with something. Furude-san's curry is absolutely splendid. I'll give it a gold star. Nipa star.
Sorry, continue. I need to make sure that I can see that.
Where did you learn to cook, Furude-san? At home? Yes, at home. The other parents in attendance were impressed. Lies, all lies. I didn't teach her anything. Who was it? Who was it? Who was the person who had completely indoctrinated my child? She was a normal, average daughter, not the living incarnation of Oyashiro-sama. Okay.
Man, I'm glad that they should have killed her mom earlier. Mom's a bitch. Her mom's a controlling psychopath. Fuck her.
Well then,
She's looping.
until next time.
She's looping.
She's looping?
They kill her at the end of every game, and then she loops back to the start of this game.